All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Trust Sports. We're in the thick of playoff time. We're getting to the thick of football time, of rankings, who's looking at the playoff predictions. But we're in the building, bro. What's good, my guy?
What's up, Leak? Yeah, big weekend. We got a big weekend coming up. Obviously, we'll talk about our boys going head to head again. But
It's
what a
that
weekend of college football.
you could tell that I don't give a fuck about the NFL. That I forgot we were playing on our docket of what we wanted to talk about. I didn't even put on Cowboys Eagles. I totally left it off. But hey, it's definitely gonna shape up to be a weekend good for us. Hey, but let's start with the college football playoff selection. There's a lot of people out there that's bitching, that's going forward saying that Florida State got done dirty. We haven't talked about it, but our standings, the playoff picture is, correct me if I'm wrong. You have Michigan at 1. Who's at 2?
You got Washington at 2,
Washington 2,
Texas,
3, and
and
then
then Bama.
Alabama 4. Okay, so that matchup creates Michigan versus Alabama and Washington versus Texas. But right off the back, you had the heartbreak of I never knew. I don't remember if they ever did that before. Like if I remember seeing like the live reaction. I've always known the live reaction to March Madness stuff of those guys watching
Right.
the NBA tournament, but I never knew that they did it for college football as well. So that's pretty dope to see. But you see, bitch ass Michigan. As soon as they see who goes number 4, and that's Bama, you see the room reaction going
Yes.
in shock. Now, Dave Portnoy is trying to spin this and say that was shock because they were like, I can't believe Florida State got left off. That to me is a full of bullshit. They are definitely in their eyes saying, fuck, we got Bama. At the end of the day, it's Bama.
I was gonna say he's probably right, but they weren't saying like, oh my gosh, they were like, fuck, I can't believe we didn't get Florida State. We were fucking ready for Florida State's third string quarterback, and instead they're getting Nick Saban.
Okay, so what are your thoughts? What are you leaning towards? The committee being wrong in regards to leaving out Florida State, or the committee did the right thing by saying we want just the best 4 teams in right now?
Yeah, I think the committee did the right thing.
Okay.
And this was something that on the show that we had Dave guest star in, we did like a bold prediction kind of show, and part of it was what your college football playoff looked like. And I told him that there's a chaos scenario where Bama beats Georgia, and I believe that leaves Florida State out. And that was before the Jordan Travis injury, to where I really thought, now, obviously, I think that was the deciding factor, that you're playing second, maybe second string, but definitely third string quarterback. We watched that game against Louisville. It was torture to watch. The defense is awesome, but like you can't have that team in the playoff, especially with Bama beating the top team in college football for the past 2-3 years. So I think the committee got it right. I think it could have gone either way. There was a little bit of question in my mind that if Bama beat Georgia, that both of those SEC schools would get in. But as I, learned, or not learned, but listened to more and more of like college football shows and podcasts that go on, like they valued the Texas win at Bama so much that regardless, like all Texas needed to do was win the Big 12. And then if Bama got in, they were going to be one spot ahead of them, no matter where they were at. If Bama was 5, Texas was going to be 4. If Bama was 2, Texas would be 1. Like that's just where that they were going to sit. But I think they got it right. You need the best 4 teams in there. And quite frankly, like me personally, I would still also put Georgia, Ohio State in over Florida State, even if it got to that point. Like if Texas lost, I would have Ohio State or Georgia in the playoff over Florida State either way.
Yeah, I think it. So, like as a person, like a human being, you feel bad for Florida, right? You're like, fuck,
Oh,
like
yeah.
you go undefeated, like you play, like you have a decent schedule, right? You do play like they play good teams, competitive teams.
They scheduled LSU week 1, if you remember, like for
Yeah,
this reason, like to say like we have a quality win. So
yeah, like
you're right.
exactly. But then you look up and you say, you go out, and I still say if they go out there and demolish, what's it called? Louisville last week,
Yeah.
it's a different story now. It's a different
Agreed.
story. It's not going 10-6 into halftime versus Louisville, right? Like that's
Exactly.
just that you just don't like you don't make the playoffs in that way. And I think this is a repercussion of a lot we're seeing from last year. We're seeing a lot of Bama was left out last year. So to me, that was a makeup to Bama, right? To say, okay, Bama deserves a shot now. Thank God their schedule, and I'm sure they did it on purpose, with being like, let's put I mean, not on purpose, but making the SC championship is a benefit towards them. If they win, they automatically get in, right? No matter what, Bama was getting in regardless if they won. But you have to look at it like you just can't do the same thing we did last year. We can't have a TCU team again in a national championship. This TCU went down and beat Michigan. Correct. It was a great game. But you knew that Georgia TCU game was going to be a bloodbath, and it was an awful game to watch. It was an awful way to end the year to see Georgia just demolish TCU. And it shows you I'd rather have the 4 best competitive teams be in it, not just off strength of you've beat teams you've gone 12-0. Like I'm sorry, it does suck. It sucks. Like the schedule went down that way. It does suck in that fashion. But I think they did it right. But I think that this is an opportunity for the commission to also say, let's open this bitch up. Let's open it to 6 right now. Let's fuck it. Let's just do it. Let's just say, prize throw. It's that crazy. Let's just do it. I don't know if they can, but I would have loved that wrinkle. I don't think anyone would have been upset at the wrinkle or throw 6 or 8 in there. First round buys for 1-2, like, and just see what happens and let it play out. But I think it does suck if you're a Florida State player, you're leaving this year to be like, we were that close. And at the end of the day, we'll see now. Let's see Georgia play FSU. Let's see if, because they're playing in a bowl game against each other.
That's right.
And watch, Georgia may not even play their guys, and Georgia might stampede Florida State. Crazy, like crazy. But I'm excited to see, and I fucking hope. I hope if the quarterback for Alabama can figure it the fuck out, I want to see Bama crush Michigan, and I think that's their best chance to go up against anyone. And I don't think it's an easy road. Even if Michigan beats Bama, you're up against Washington, Texas. Now, Washington surprised the fuck out of me, man.
They did.
I was very surprised for Washington to go out that way, and they were, I think, the 10-point underdogs going into that game. I did not think they would pull it out. I was like, after seeing Oregon these last couple of weeks, I was like, Oregon is going to pull away from them, man. I think I took it as well. But hey, it definitely shaped up to be a great playoff bracket, I would say.
Yeah, it is. And that's a good point. Like, you look at the last couple years, and the 2 teams that stick out to us are TCU. Again, they upset Michigan. That was a really good game to watch, but then, drilled against Georgia. And then I don't know if it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago when Cincinnati made it, because you were kind of in the situation of Florida State of like, no, well, you know what? They're undefeated, Power 5 conference. Let's put them in there. And I think the committee learned from that. And it does suck because you're one injury away. Like, of course, it was your quarterback that got injured. You're one injury away from making the playoff.
Yeah.
Like, if Jordan Travis doesn't get hurt and they go out and they beat Louisville convincingly, they're probably the number 3 team right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, you learn from previous mistakes and you put the 4 best teams in there. And I know, we'll continue to break these down as it gets closer, but I like Bama a lot to win the whole thing. And we talk about it like what Michigan did last year. I just think that there's going to come a time we need to talk about Michigan choking in the playoff. And Bama's red hot right now. Red fucking hot. And you brought up the reaction that the Michigan team had when they saw they were playing Bama. That's not a look you want to see from the number 1 team in the country right now.
Yeah. There's just no way you couldn't say. I mean, I get it. I get that the commission definitely took that. They said they took it into consideration that they don't have the starting quarterback, right? I think and I think it's an unfair comparison to be like, this is why the NFL is better than college. Fuck you, man. This just shows you how much more competitive it is that you can go undefeated and still not make the playoffs. You have to play at a high level all year long. You don't have to be, and not for nothing, like with the Jaguars, like the Jaguars are what they're 8-3 or 8-4, whatever it may be now.
8-4 now,
8-4 after they lost last night, but like I didn't on Monday. I mean, they didn't I didn't know about them. Like I haven't given a fuck about them, but like that's not possible in college football. You have a team that's undefeated, they're going to be looked at as like top ranked teams, top 10. Like they're having an amazing schedule. You're seeing them playing in primetime games. I just think that was an unfair comparison to be like, oh, I guess that the Jaguars won't make the playoffs this year. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Like, that's just such an unfair comparison because it does play a factor in college ball. Now, the thing that concerns me is, and I love this matchup, and I'm like, okay, Michigan, if you go out there and you do beat Alabama, I'll put my hands up and say you were the better team. You're the better team. You deserve to win a championship. You are that great of a team. But in my opinion, only scoring 21 versus Iowa in one of the nastiest games, like that was a nasty game of the weekend. They didn't cover the fucking spread. I lost money on them because they couldn't score one more touchdown versus Iowa. And you want to
Yeah,
throw JJ McCarthy, you want to throw him in the ring with Bama boys? You want
exactly.
to throw him in the ring? You want to have double spies against the Alabama quarterback? If they let him loose, let's see what the fuck. He might rush for 200 against fucking Michigan if he can spin. So it's just it's sort of come down who makes less mistakes. But not for nothing, Harbaugh coming back, I was like, oh wait, Harbaugh coming back, and this is what we're doing right now. Can Harbaugh not get the job done late in the season? Is he? Yeah, he could beat Ohio State, but are we not looking at his coaching abilities? Are we not questioning it yet? And I guess if he lose this one, we gotta wake up and say, wow, what if he sat out? What would that game have looked like versus Iowa? What would have been different, and what would be different for Alabama if he goes in there and loses? I can tell you right now, I hate that we have to wait until New Year's. It feels like it's so far away.
I know.
But I can tell you right now, give any coach this amount of time and give Nick Saban this much time, I'm taking Nick Saban.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I think I will too. I will too. And you're right. I mean, that's a Michigan team that struggled. And not taking anything away from Iowa. Like, there's a reason they were in that game, and it was because their defense played at such a high level throughout the year that they were literally winning them games throughout the entire year. But you're telling me that you struggle against Iowa. Like, I'm putting that Bama defense well above the Iowa defense, and you struggled like that. And I think it goes to the argument of, like, we talk about it all the time in the terms of, like, the regular season for the NFL, right? Like, oh, this was so-and-so Super Bowl. Like, what if Ohio State, what if that's Harbaugh's national championship, right? Like, all the energy just gets exerted into that game, and they win it, and it's fantastic. But then you have a heartbreak against TCU. But now you got to play Bama, giving Nick Saban 3 weeks to prepare. Like, let's see, because now the pressure's on Michigan. Harbaugh's still debating on leaving and to going to the NFL. The suspension's still, like, kind of surrounding a little bit. And again, we bring this up. You are catching arguably the greatest college football coach of all time with his quarterback who's figured it out, that are on a red-hot streak that just took down a team that hadn't lost in 3 years. You better be ready, Harbaugh and Michigan, because you're right. I can see that being a game where we go, yeah, the SEC is still the best conference because they roll Michigan.
I mean, I don't know. Dave Portnoy was saying we have the best quarterback in comparison to that quarterback position matters. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not taking JJ over that quarterback.
I don't think I am either.
I don't know his name. But I mean, at the end of the day, the only thing you could question Bama on is having a close game versus Auburn. That's the only thing you could say is close. But then you also look and say, this is what fucking breaks my heart. And you may say I'm just a hater, but I still say these last 2 years, Ohio State has been the better team to Michigan. Ohio State would have fucking beat TCU. Ohio State had a close game, almost beat when Georgia was Georgia, right? The national champ Georgia. Ohio State could definitely go in and put up, I think, a better game versus Bama. Now let's see if I'm gonna have to eat my words, but I would stick by that Ohio State versus Bama game would be a lot better than anything else. But on the opposite end of things, we're starting to see some transfers happen, baby. We're starting to see some guys enter the transfer portal. Our quarterback leaving. Wow. I can say right now, this is what I said right now. I was talking to my boy earlier about this. This is a given opportunity like the Dallas Cowboys. It was either who was going to leave, fucking Ryan Day or Ohio State's quarterback. It's going to be the same thing for the Cowboys. Who's going to leave, McCarthy or Dak Prescott? He just saved Ryan Day's job. He just said, you know what? I want to know one day what happened in that meeting. I know I saw that he met with his dad and him in a meeting, and he's entering the portal. Cool by me. Let another quarterback come in, because then now you're questioning, like, damn, I don't know if I want to take him out because he has been our quarterback last year. I don't want to have to bench him. I want to give him a chance to where it's a free game now. Now I don't have to worry, like, is this our guy for the next 2 or 3 years? He's gone. Give me another young kid to come in and let's see if he can ball out. Go recruit. Go get some guys in this transfer. I know there's a guy from Washington that entered the transfer portal. Yeah. Scoop him up. And then the guy from Oklahoma State. See if you can scoop him up as well. Like, these are way better quarterbacks, in my opinion, that just been in bad systems. That you put another guy in the system, it's a lot better, in my opinion. I'm glad he's gone.
Yeah, no, I know you are, and I know you're closer to the situation. So let me ask, because I guess just playing devil's advocate here, right? We talk about Ryan Day and his job being safe. And one of the things that you pointed out was him losing recruits, people decommitting from Ohio State and going elsewhere. Now you have your starting quarterback, who, again, in my opinion, outplayed JJ McCarthy in the Michigan game, like was perhaps one mistake away from winning that game. But now you look at, okay, Ryan Day also just lost his quarterback to the transfer portal. And like, you don't really see that with these upper echelon teams. So is that a negative on Ryan Day, or kind of like you said, no, this was part of the plan. It was either going to be McCord or Ryan Day, and the kid made the decision.
No, I don't think. I think everyone was shocked. Like I follow all the Ohio State fan pages. They're like, "What the fuck? I was not prepared for this," but no one was mad. Everyone was like, "Cool." Like I don't know if he's our guy. Like I'm okay not knowing who is our guy next and letting someone else step up and possibly be that guy for the next 2 or 3 years. That Justin Fields, that CJ Stroud. Like let's go, because we knew he's not that. We know he's not those guys. So let's go find it. And I say, like, he can go out there and still get a guy. I'm not afraid of the transfer. I think the transfer portal is a blessing to us because he's left. Let's see who else can shape in it. And I think no matter what, the transfer portal guys seeing that, you might see a star coming in Ohio State, be like, oh, he couldn't get the job done. I'm cool. I'll walk into the town here. I'll walk in leaving Washington. I'll walk in here leaving Oklahoma. Like, I'm cool with that. Let me get a fucking Ohio State program and walk into it. No matter what, it is the Ohio State. You want to walk into that type of program. You want to leave these programs in which you like not for nothing, you're not going to get a case like you got with Washington making the college football playoffs. Like, that's not happening for our guys. I'd rather have a chance every year to be up against those upper echelon teams and play in the Big Ten, especially what the Big Ten's going to look like. So cool. Come to us, baby. But Ryan Day, this is it, baby. This is your job. I think you're a year away from being like, you have another year, and if you don't figure it out with this, you're out of there, brother. I would give you the grace of a year. But it definitely was like a little bit more excitement, because I was like, I know he's not the guy. I know he's not.
You're right. I guess that's a good point, right? And maybe that's Ryan Day.
He's what lost his Michigan game.
I was going to say, maybe like after this, you're right. Like, you're not just like, McCord is probably better for some of these mid-tier schools, but like, you're Ohio State. You just lost the third time. Like, you're coming off Fields and CJ Stroud. No. You need a stud. So that's a good point. And I think, I got to dive into the names a little bit, but I think that's what Notre Dame was hoping to get this year with the kid from Wake Forest, their quarterback. Like, all you need is one of these veteran guys who's been playing college ball and had success at a high level for, 2-3 years. Plop them into this team and see if they can go. So that's a good point. I mean, hey, we're not good enough at the quarterback position. This is the Ohio State. We got to go get the guy. And now it's time, Ryan Day, for you to go get your guy and try to change it. Or like you said.
And then what hurts you on the opposite end, I saw a stat. It was like, this is 6 years in a row where one of our guys from Ohio State has been in the Heisman contention. 6 years in a row, bro.
Yeah.
A Heisman finalist with Marv making it to the – I could guarantee you he's not going to win. And I think the kid from Washington, or I see the only thing that makes me nervous about that is the hype of the school. Like, I don't see a kid from Washington being able to win the Heisman in comparison to the kid from where is he from, bro? From LSU, the quarterback from LSU. Like, I think they're gonna just give it to him because he is an LSU quarterback. Like, I don't see anyone else doing it. I am happy to see the downfall of Bo Nix not being able to pull it off. Like, 27 years old. What is he?
Yeah.
Bro, just scrap it up, bro. Like, go try to get into the league and just play what it is, bro. Like, that was nuts to see. But hey, we're gonna have a while of college football. I'm sure there's gonna be great takes we come up with, because we have a fucking damn near a month until we have to wait for the college. I mean, no, we're a couple weeks out, man. Oh, what? No, we're a month out.
We are about a month, a little under a month. But hey, the way time flies, it'll be here before you know it, and that'll be. I mean, those are two really great games. Bama, Michigan's going to be potentially all time. And I mean, look, back to your point too about Florida State, real quick, like expanding. I think this is also maybe the committee's way of not getting any slack for the 12 team next year. For all those that are like, it makes it less important, then they can have the argument of like, well, then we don't have a situation like Florida State like we did last year. So they know what they're doing. They're going to get the ratings. I would love to see a Bama-Texas national championship rematch from this past. That would be fucking awesome.
Yeah. I mean, the bowl games fit up perfect. I mean, it's beautiful. It's the Rose Bowl, right, of Michigan?
Yeah, I believe so.
That's going to be beautiful, bro. The Rose Bowl out there in the West Coast, like, it's going to look amazing. That just looks prettier, right? You see Michigan, like, it looks better, bro. At the end of the day, it is.
It does. It's going to be dope.
Yes, sir. All right, man. You want to transition into the next week NFL Week 13 recap?
Yeah.
So what I'm looking at, and I want to speak on my surprises from week 13. My surprise from week 13, I haven't had the opportunity to hype up my Cowboys because I really and I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this, and people are so surprised by my response. Tank, I'm okay losing every game, and I wanted that Seahawks game to lose. Like I didn't care to win that game, and this is my sole reason why. I cannot take. I love Dak. I think Dak's having a great year. Dak's playing up, but no matter what, I know that Dak, when like he has to prove me wrong. At the end of the day, prove me wrong. If you're having this year, prove me wrong in the playoffs. But the stats I've said for the last 7 years, you can't get me over that hump. I'd rather go and say rebuild. I know I don't want to have these players that are around. It sucks. CeeDee Lamb, Parsons, all these guys that are around do not want to hear that. But Dak's not going to get the job done. I'm okay being like, Dak, you've lost every game. We know we need to go get a quarterback. Let's go get a fucking quarterback. Let's go get a new head coach, and let's figure this shit out as soon as we can in a year or two and fucking do something different.
He's been talked about MVP the last couple of weeks, though. You still don't care?
Fucking media. The media is playing it up because you know why? It's contract year for Dak, and the media wants to play into Dak being the MVP, so Dak can then go ahead and get paid all this money, be the highest paid quarterback, and then we look up and the Eagles fans and everyone around the league applauds the Cowboys for, again, staying mediocre and being America's team that sucks. That's what it is. It's a ploy into please feed the Cowboys to being – because, Liam, you would love that, right? You would love Dak to stay for a couple of years.
I would. I've been telling you for years, give him a lifetime contract. I hope Jerry Jones stays alive forever. Exactly. I hope McCarthy stays there forever. Of course.
Exactly. But, hey, no matter what, the positives come out that was the first time I've seen the Cowboys play down and play with some swagger and play with some fucking heart. Let's talk that shit. Ferguson, let's get in the fucking face, Jamal Adams, and then go out and score on him and point at him and have CeeDee Lamb pointing at him, have Dak Prescott flexing on motherfuckers. Like if that's how we want to play and we lose that way, I'm completely okay with it.
But you said that.
Yes.
You said that before, and I think I remember you talking about the Eagles team last year. Like you were like, the Eagles team plays with swagger that I wish Dallas had. And you're right. Like Dallas showed the swagger. I think I even texted you. I was like, fuck, man. I hate that Ferguson just got rocked, took 3 dudes to get him down, and he went right into, Jamal Adams' face, like dropped the ball right in front of him and then scored on him the next time. I was like, I hate to give credit to any Cowboy, but I was like, that's tough. Like that's what you need to do.
It's a dog. That's what I'm saying. I need some dogs around me, and the Cowboys don't play like that. So that right there was like, play like this. I'm okay if Dak, if you want to play like that, if you played all year like that, I wouldn't be saying get Dak out of there. I would be saying like he's figuring it out. He's a leader. I've always said that from the beginning. Dak is a leader of all leaders. Like he can definitely lead a team, but you got to get me over that hump. I can't take it anymore of not being able to get that hump. So it was impressive seeing us come back and beat finally a team that's a winning team, having a winning record, and do something
more.
I mean, yeah, not now, but they're still winning. That's still that was probably our toughest game of the season so far, and to come out of it that way was impressive. I mean, besides the Eagles game, but that was impressive. And then I'm gonna have to turn my eyes and look at Texas and say, Texas, the way CJ Stroud is balling out, I sat there and watched that entire game, and I was like, holy fuck, Texas is a team that from top to bottom is a good team that has great coaching. And the ability to see, again, I love seeing that dog, seeing CJ Stroud get in the face of motherfuckers, seeing his hunger to go out there and like have the confidence to go out there and sling that shit. That to me was a great game to watch. And I was like, definitely is someone you want to watch out for in the next couple of years. On the opposite end as well is Love. If you're a Bears fan, I hope that you're turning over your grave, because not only have you had to go from Brett Favre training Aaron Rodgers leaving, and now you're like, is Love that guy? Love is that guy. He is here.
And it looked like for a few weeks he was not.
Yeah.
I think the past 3 or 4 games he's been awesome, but like that middle of the season, he looked lost. And like everyone, you're right. Like Bears fans, Vikings fans, I'm sure were like, fuck yes, man. Like they're finally fucked. They got to go get a quarterback. And then he beats Mahomes on Sunday Night Football.
And bald, man. And like, I was just like, fuck. And what's funny is I was talking shit to my boy right then. I was like, yo, what's up with your fucking Packers, bro? They suck. He's like, yo, we're starting to heat up, man. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, we're heating up. I was like, I'm going to watch this game. And I was like, yeah, the Bears are fucked from here on out, because he's going to be around for a while. They're
nice. In the playoffs. Like this is like they're feeling out, maybe not rebuild because they're not totally like tanking, but like this was definitely a figure it out. Let's see what we have here. And they're in the playoffs right now.
And they're missing their number 1 lineman right now. I forget his name.
Is it Bakhtiari still? Is
Yeah,
he?
yeah.
Yeah.
He's injured this year, so it's like he's out all year, and like they're missing weapons, and he's out there still balling. But yeah,
And give credit to that coach, man. I saw a stat. He's 16-0 in December, in the month of December. He again, a lot of that's Aaron Rodgers for sure, but like
matters.
you look at a game like that, you look at the progression of Jordan Love, and you got to give him credit, man. Like he's helping him.
Yeah, and I want to say that around the league we're talking about I'm seeing like memes about the Eagles not being able to win when they don't have the refs on their side. I want to say that if you watch that game, the NFL loves their golden child of Patrick Mahomes. I mean, they were giving that fucking last drive for him to win the game, and I was like, is no one else seeing this? Like, is no one seeing all these flags and shit just come out of the wazoo? They missed one pivotal pass interference down the field, but like they were keeping him alive. Like, bro, we're trying to fucking help. It was one of those like the rest like we're trying, bro. Just do better. Yeah. And it's like it just showed me now if the Eagles make the Super Bowl, they can beat no one, and no one can beat the Eagles if they make it that far. If they can get through our division, I don't think anyone from over there, the AFC, can beat you guys.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. And I think we talked about this last week. Like the refs are just bad. Like they're gonna have to do something because it's every week. It's multiple calls, multiple games, like blatant misses on either side. Either you're making a call that's not the call, or you're not seeing something that's blatant as shit. And it's bad. It ruins games.
And on the opposite end, we have Daddy Purdy fucking went into the link. And my boy Liam was at the game. He had to watch Daddy Purdy, and he had to watch Daddy Debo go for the hat trick. Man, oh man, oh man. We were texting, and Liam has the fandom of like, bro, we're gonna fucking lose this game. He does it right like so early. And I'm like, Liam, there's no fucking way. You guys are a fourth quarter team, but they pulled away so quick and they showed up in that game. But we had a lot of excitement. But I at least want to say that was a great game to at least be in the stands for. I want to hear what you had to say as being, I mean, for the excitement, like the off the field shit.
That was going on. Right.
Yeah, like
I was gonna say, no, wasn't it?
I mean, as a fan, no, it sucks like losing that way. But you were there for a great. It was a great game in the beginning. I want to say that the first 2 minutes, I was like, Eagles are fucking going to kill them. Like they're going to fucking kill them. Brock Purdy is not ready for this matchup. But they pulled away. But I want to hear the Eagles' perspective and hear what we have to say, because the only thing I have against you guys right now, the fans, is that the boys I was texting, you told me as well in our group chat, is instead of saying they just whooped our ass on to the next game on the Cowboys week, it was they had to see us in January. They had to see us late at home again. Fuck them. Just take the ass whipping and move on. We'll just say we'll see you later, and it is what it is. That's
and that's what it was. Like we'll see him again. I have no doubt. It's just a matter of where it's going to be, and this is what everyone was saying. It's going to be Eagles Niners in the NFC Championship game. I guess fan wise, like that was a playoff game atmosphere. Like it was bad blood. It was them talking shit and bitching all off season. Like Eagles fans definitely heard it.
One question: did Sabrina wear her jersey?
She wore a Niners hat, but she was wearing a coat. It was a little
disrespect. No, Sabrina, you get no clout from me. Fuck that. You pussy for that one, Sabrina. I'm sorry, Sabrina. You put it over the fucking coat. You rock that shit over the coat, Sabrina. That's a flaw. That's a strike on my end from you, Sabrina. All right, go ahead. My bad.
That's fine. That's fine. I think in terms of the game, again, I say every week I sound like a broken record on these slow starts because of the offensive coordinator making dumb calls. And I told you this last week. I think I said it on the pod, might have even texted you. I was like, whoever's winning at halftime is going to win the game. And the reason being is the 49ers have to play a certain way. They have to get a lead. They have to utilize their run game and the screen passes to run clock. And then they have to let their defense pin their ears back. And if you get them uncomfortable and behind a decent amount in the game, they're going to fold. That's why they lost the 3 straight games that they did. And as we're watching that first quarter go, and I have a stat. It's not an excuse. It's going to sound like one, but I have a stat that's going to kind of prove what I'm saying a little bit further. In the first quarter, you're right. The Niners didn't look like they belonged. Brock Purdy looked like Mr. Irrelevant. The defense looked like they were flying around. The offense had 2 really good drives that ended in field goals. And as you looked up at the score and you saw 6-0 at the end of the first quarter, and you see the Eagles with almost 200 yards and the Niners with -6, but it's still 6-0, I knew it was wrap. I knew it was done. because that game should have at the least been 10-0, if not 14-0 at the end of the first quarter. The way you dominated, your defense was flying around. You got 2 3-and-outs. They couldn't move a yard. And then you drove right down the field and then folded in the end zone because this offensive coordinator and this team continues to start slow. And then what you saw from the rest of the game going into halftime, I think it was 14-6. Niners outplayed you in the second quarter, but it was still relatively close. Like it was a battle back and forth. And this is the point that I want to make. And again, it's going to sound like an excuse, but it's what you saw and why the game ended how it ended. That was the Eagles' third game in 13 days. And we talked about this gauntlet since the offseason of like it was the Dolphins. Like they played 5 or 6 straight like playoff games, right? Like the Dolphins on Sunday night was a playoff game. Washington should not have been a tight game, but it was, and you were fighting to get it out. Probably felt like a playoff game. Dallas, playoff game. At Kansas City, home against the Bills that went into overtime and almost played an entire quarter. The Niners, that was their second game in 11 days. Mm-hmm. You played another full game and an overtime game at that against the Bills. And I think that's what you saw. Like you saw the 49ers pull away because that Eagles defense was just gassed. They couldn't tackle. They couldn't keep up. And again, like call it again.
Part in my eyes, the tackling was just brutal.
And that's just like you're beat. You're fucking beat. And again, call an excuse like they whooped their ass. They got their asses handed to them. Yeah. But I think that has to do with a little part of it. But I sound like a broken record. Like this OC is a problem. You're not getting Swift involved early. Jalen Hurts is throwing the ball 50 times in this game. The 2 games the Eagles lost this year were the top 2 games that Jalen Hurts has had over 45 passing attempts. The rest they won. So like when you're not utilizing the run, this is what's going to be the problem. And I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts can't win these games, but like no team can win if you don't have that balance.
Yeah, for sure.
So like it was just, look, they talked their shit. They fully backed it up. Mm-hmm. And now, like, going into Dallas, the panic button's not pressed yet because, grand scheme of things, you still control your own destiny being the top seed in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, let alone your conference, you're still the top team in the NFL record-wise.
Yeah.
If you go in and you beat Dallas, and you know this is one of my betting theories, bet on good teams that get embarrassed the week before. I don't bet on my teams, but I would take the Eagles this week because of how you're going to respond. And if you respond by going into Dallas and struggle again, for me, panic button. Yeah. Because this shows me that maybe you don't have that extra gear that everyone's been talking about. But I fully expect this team to come back. They got fucking dog walked against a team that literally came into your house after talking all that shit, bent you over, and spanked your ass.
Yeah.
So how are you going to respond by now going into what is now the most important game of the season? And when it's all said and done, I said to you before this Niners game, if the Eagles win one of the next 2, they'll be the 1 seed. So that mission, that goal is still right in front of you. They have to prove that last week was more of a fluke than a formula on how to beat them.
Yeah, I don't think it's a fluke. I think it definitely is a formula that's out there. But I think that at the end of the day, it was more impressive. And I said this going into the game, like allow McCaffrey to warm up. I mean, the first 6 runs, he was negative. Like he didn't get nothing.
Yeah.
Right. Once he got warmed up, he was picking and choosing 15-yard run. Like he was just doing what the fuck he wants to do. And that's the gasser. Like if you're able to get the run game going, the pass, like if you're able to hit in all cylinders, again, you have to be perfect versus the Eagles in order to beat the Eagles. And the 49ers were fucking perfect. They backed up their talk. And the worst person that backed it up was Debo. I wanted you guys to, and again, I took the Eagles to win that game simply off the fact I did not know, and that's not an excuse in my eyes because that does come down to fucking where, like, you guys were just to play 3 games in 13 days. It's just nuts, right? It's crazy and playing overtime.
And games at those levels, right? Like it's not like you were playing the Giants and the fucking these teams. Like you were in dogfights, and again, like how that game ended at that score, the way the first quarter and first half went.
Yeah, it's
like
crazy.
I mean, they were just gassed.
Yeah. That right there, I wouldn't have bet. Like I wouldn't have put the Eagles. That would have been like a red flag to me to be like, oh shit, like I didn't even think about that. That's wild. That's a wild couple games of playing, especially the Bills game going overtime. You're at home. It's honestly, you're in the rain every single fucking game. Right. Like it's. I said I was like, damn, it's raining fucking again in this game.
I know.
But I did say that next week going in, I think that it's a great way to come off of like, hey, the Eagles coming off a San Francisco win. I take San Francisco to beat the Cowboys. but also the Cowboys coming off of a win versus the Seahawks, in which they did. It's going to be a great game. If you just have the Cowboys coming off of like, a fucking just the rest of their schedule, how it used to be, I would say it's a bloodbath. Eagles take it. I still think the Eagles take this win. I know everyone's like every year it's a split, but I don't think like this game matters so much more for division, for placement, for everything, that it's balls to the wall this game. I think the Eagles come out, and we haven't lost at home. Like we haven't lost at home. That's a big thing as well. But this is no matter what, that shit doesn't matter. The record, all that shit doesn't matter in this game.
Yeah, and again, I mean, you're right. Like, again, this is going to sound like the cop out.
Right. I haven't seen any Eagles Cowboys talk after that. Eagles, like, it's just like the first one was just so heated. This one seems like let's just see what the fuck happens.
Yeah, and I think like you're right. This becomes so much more important because, okay, now you look as this Eagles team, right? And what can the story be if the Cowboys win, right? Like, let's say the Cowboys win by a touchdown. Now you're coming off of back-to-back weeks where you blew the 1 seed, maybe even the division now. Like, you could go from being the 1 seed to the 5 if you lose this game. And then the narrative is going to be, well, the two teams that we said are going to be fighting for the NFC alongside with the Eagles just beat you back-to-back. And one game you beat Dallas, could have gone either way, right? Like, you could say that narrative. So if there ever was a time for me to play the Cowboys, it would be after they just got boat raced at home against the Niners. Because, again, like I said, I whether it was the Eagles, whether the Niners did this to, like, I remember saying this about the Lions when they got killed against the Ravens. I was like, bet the fucking Lions. They killed the Raiders next week. Like, good teams find ways to bounce back. And especially with the mentality of this team, like, I fully expect them to come prepared and, like, try to step on Dallas's throat. And it's not going to be easy either way. But if there was ever a game to have after the Niners, I'm glad it's the Cowboys because, I mean, they're going to need to come out and really prove it.
And what scares me is there's no one mentally tougher and holds a chip on his shoulder more than Jalen Hurts. Like, Jalen Hurts coming back and being like, all right, you got us that one. Let's turn it up now. Let's come in with that swagger. And I think as the Eagles team as a whole, right, comes in with that. All right, like this is what you did to us. Like, don't worry, we're gonna prove how we belong as number 1 seed going into it. And that's what it's like. Fuck, like if it was a close one versus 49ers, they edged it out. I would be a little bit like, oh, it can go either way. But no matter what, I think that the swagger coming into Dallas is we gotta end this now. Let's just end this shit now. End our season in a fucking the right way, and that putting a stamp on y'all. Figure out the rest. We're number 1. We'll take the first week. We'll take the bye. And I think that's what it's gonna come down to.
And it's interesting to me, last point going into Sunday, speaking of betting lines. So normally they'll kind of spot the home team 3 points, right? So the line right now, Cowboys are 3-point favorites. Now, again, I know the Eagles are 10-2. I know, you can call last week more of the fluke than the norm. But to me, what you just said, Cowboys have won, 14 straight at home. They just put up 40+ on the Seahawks. Dak is playing at a very high level. Like, they have the 10 days rest. Why are they only 3-point favorites? Like, that says to me that on a neutral field, it's dead even. Like, to me, the Cowboys should probably be 4 or 5-point favorites to where, any point kind of goes a long way. So to me, that's a little weird. Like, is that one of those Vegas knows something, or are they just trying to trap people into taking the Eagles? But either way, I think it's going to be tight. And I mean, this game is for the division, the way that the schedules kind of line up.
Yeah, and I don't think it's and I don't think that it's a lot. Like, if you shit, of course you could shit talk afterwards and be like, hey, the Eagles beat the Cowboys, fuck the Cowboys suck. Either way, it's still like it's for the division. It's a division game. It's a big time game. If you embarrass us, it's a different story. Talk your shit. But if it's a close game, I don't want to hear shit. Like, that's where I have a problem with. It's like I don't want to hear the shit talking afterwards because you guys are just shitting bricks the entire week up to this game. You're shitting bricks. Like, you're like, fuck, we have to win. This isn't a game in which you say, we don't care about it. We're already in. It doesn't matter. We're here. You have to win this game. So go out there and win this game and do what it does. Again, I'm not sitting here as like a soaker of like, just lose Cowboys, like end our season. I don't give a fuck. Please, let's just fucking move on to next year and let's see what the fuck we do in the offseason. But I think no matter what, we're stupid enough to keep Dak and McCarthy for another year.
You will be.
Yeah.
And then again, final thing, kind of a way for like Eagles fans to cope. I've been seeing a lot of this, but it is interesting. If you look at the largest loss by some of the Super Bowl winners we've had, they've come later in the seasons. When the Rams won their Super Bowl, Niners beat them by 21. when the Bucks won their Super Bowl. I think it was week 10. I don't know if you remember this game. Like the Saints beat them 38-3.
Yeah.
It was never really close. 2018, the Patriots lost by 24. The Eagles, when they won their Super Bowl, I remember this game. They was at Seattle. They lost by 14, but it was kind of like a bullshit late touchdown by the Eagles to get them to 14. So like, just because the week 13 blowout happened and like everybody's going to crown the Niners, like they won the Super Bowl in week 13. Congrats. But like, again, like you control your own destiny to force anyone to come into Philly in January. And can Brock do it again? And we'll talk about that later, but it's still all right in front of you. So it can't be panic time just yet.
Yeah.
If they lose this week convincingly to the Cowboys, I'm pulling it out.
Okay. All right. I'll let you rock. Hey, but we're in store for good football. Are we like game of the week? So
Sunday night football.
Yeah. Or are we 4:00 or at night?
Or at night, 8:20.
Oh, that's cool. I can get to the gym beforehand. I've come to the conclusion that it's the best time to go to the gym is during the Eagles game because no one's in there. As soon as the game ends, you see a lot of people coming to the gym. So I'm like, I'm good. Like, as long as I can get in there before that time, and then I can get back home, I'm good to go. Hey, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how it plays out. Again, I don't get that stressed anymore about these games. Like the last couple of years, I've been stressed about Eagles Cowboys. I don't want to have to deal with shit talking, but I've kind of come to the conclusion of like lose. Also, I'm on a downhill spiral of Ohio State's done. So it's so hard for me to give a fuck about the Cowboys with Ohio State being done. And we'll talk about this closer to bowl time. Ohio State might actually lose this game versus Missouri in their bowl game because Missouri is a fucking good team, and I don't think anyone Ohio State's ready to play. They don't care anymore.
Yeah, they don't care, right?
Yeah, so I think Mizzou might actually pull this one out versus us. But hey, man, any last words, brother?
No, I think Eagles get it done. I really do this Sunday.
We'll see. I'll take the Eagles in that one as well. I'm not being a hater to my Cowboys, but let's Dak. If you show me wrong, let me be your clipboard material, your bulletin board material going into this week. Let the Trust Sports Podcast be that for you. But hey, guys, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Before I end, we have a giveaway we're going to do. So one of these right here, Trust the Lock. We can design it however you want. I could design it on the side as in those we trust. Trust the Lock. I could put trust just on the top of it for you, a snapback. But we are going to get to raffle off one of our hats. All we ask you to do is go out, follow the Instagram at WeTrust_podcast, and subscribe to the YouTube. And all you have to do is add it to your story that you did both of those, and your name will be put into the drawing. And we'll do it as like a Christmas gift. You'll get it for Christmas. We'll ship it out to you guys from the podcast. So again, all you have to do is follow us on Instagram at WeTrust_podcast, subscribe to the YouTube, show us proof of both of those, and we will add it to the drawing. Send it to your friends so you can win the hat as well, free of charge. All you have to do is hit those things. I don't know why people act like the subscription button is $1,000 to do, and they'll unfollow. I have no clue why. But do it for the podcast. Get us to those 200. We're almost there. I presented tonight at last weekend at TCNJ and got us like 182. So we're right there.
There we go.
There.
Look, it's a click of a button for a chance to win a sweet hat. Keep it for yourself. It's Christmas season. Give it off as a Christmas gift to your favorite betting family member, friend. Like it takes 30 seconds. Press the button, support us. We appreciate you guys listening to us. So it's perfect.
And we'll do it live on the podcast to see who the winner will be.
Yeah, that'll be great.
But hey, to get it started, right? Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow us on Instagram at WeTrust_podcast. You can listen to us on Spotify, SoundCloud, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts as well. And make sure you follow Liam on Instagram at
Liam Stokes 11.
Trust up, guys.
Thanks, Lee.